The Stillwater Planning Commission meeting of July 12th is now called to order. It will be the process this evening to call for items on the agenda. The commission will hear briefly from staff first, then applicant and/or their representative, and then open the public hearing and hear from those in favor and/or in opposition of the request. When you come to the podium, please clearly state your name and address for the record. Before closing the public hearing, both staff, applicant, and/or their representative will be provided an opportunity to respond to questions. After all interested parties have spoken, the public hearing will be closed, and we will hear closing remarks and alternatives from staff. With that, we'll open up the first item on the agenda, and that is a preliminary plat, SUB 22-11. I believe we'll hear from staff first.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jacqueline Porter, City Planner, presenting on behalf of the Planning Department. The item being presented tonight is a preliminary plat for Cedar Farms located at 2615 East McElroy Road. Here's an area map of the subject property. It's located south of East McElroy between Jardot and Drury. Here's an area map of the subject property located west of Calvary Assembly of God Church. And there's not much else around it. Here's the street of the property looking south from East McElroy. Zoning map. The property is currently zoned RSS with similar zoning located to the east and south, agriculture zoning to the north and the west. Here's an image of the future land use map of the 2030 Comprehensive Plan. As depicted by the map, the subject property is proposed to be a high-density residential with commercial use located north across East McElroy. Here's a preliminary plat. The applicant is proposing a 9-lot subdivision with 2 cul-de-sacs. All utilities are available for the subdivision. All streets will meet street standards. Traffic impact study was not required. Preliminary drainage study is acceptable. There are a few issues that will need to be addressed during the final drainage study. Aaron is here with Keystone Engineering to represent the applicant. At this time, are there any questions for staff?
I don't see any. Thank you.
Perfect.
At this time, the applicant can come forward and offer a few words.
Hello, I'm Aaron with Keystone Engineering, located at 923 South Lowry. I'm here representing the owner tonight. The preliminary plat before you is for a small subdivision near the edge of city limits. Due to the small number of lots, only one access point on McElroy is needed, and a traffic impact analysis is not necessary. The lots are larger than 1/2 acre, so we are proposing to use on-site septic systems rather than public sanitary sewer. The biggest item that you don't see is a detention area for drainage, and due to state and city requirements, we are required to match or decrease the pre-development flow going off of our site. And it may seem counterintuitive, but stormwater detention is regularly not necessary in developments that have 1/2 acre lots or larger. We just don't usually see those type of developments in the city. Usually the lots are much smaller, and that's why stormwater detention is required. And this is the reason that stormwater is not required in this case is due to the improved grass cover from the area and because of the much larger lots and the grading, which slows the flow of the water and allows more time for water to soak into the ground. And due to the characteristics of the site, it was determined that stormwater detention was not necessary for the development because the post-development flow rate was lower than the pre-development flow rate. And this meets city and state requirements. City staff has accepted the preliminary drainage study, which demonstrates what I've just talked through, and we will also submit a final drainage study to confirm this once we've completed all of the development plans, and it will be submitted at that time for staff to review. With that, are there any questions?
Are there any questions from the commissioners?
Aaron, would you please state your last name for the record, please?
Ferguson.
Chairman, if I may, what he was speaking speaking about the
Yes.
final drainage study will be presented to staff, and at that time during the final plat, the engineering department manager can make a recommendation at that time for detention pond if it is necessary. At this point, they're not requiring that, but they could later at a time, and they've spoken to them about that already.
So at this point, it's an unknown until the rest of the study is performed?
To the
and-
final studies,
Okay.
correct.
So that's still pending.
Yes.
Very good.
It's-
Yes.
It's really small print. Does it slope off to the southeast? I assume it does.
Yes, it does.
Okay. So if it were necessary, it looks like there's plenty of room in lot 6.
Yes, yes. That's the biggest lot. I believe it's 2 acres or close to it. So yes, there's
Okay.
plenty of room for a pond there.
And it's my understanding staff concurs with that there is room if it is needed.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, we'd open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone else in the audience this evening that would like to speak in favor of this item. Seeing none, we'll call for anyone in the audience this evening that would like to speak in opposition. Seeing none, we'll ask staff to return and present findings.
All right, the findings, the proposed preliminary plat meets the subdivision and zoning requirements. The C3 plan recommends high-density residential use at this location. And your alternatives, I guess I'll make one.
All right.
Accept findings, recommend approval as requested. Find the request is not appropriate, recommend denial. Find that additional information or discussion is needed prior to making a recommendation and table the request to a certain date.
Any questions from commissioners on the recommendations or the findings? Or I'm sorry, the alternatives or the findings? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Commissioners, any discussion or perhaps a motion?
I'd make a motion that we accept the findings and approve the proposed preliminary plat as presented.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We shall now vote. All right. Motion passes 4-0. Next item on the agenda is the meeting summary for review and possible action for the regular meeting summary of June the 14th.
Without any objections or changes to the minutes, I make a motion to approve.
I would second that.
We have a motion and a second. We shall now vote. Motion passes 4-0. Next item on the agenda is miscellaneous items from staff, planning commissioners, or city attorney for discussion and possible action. The item we have listed is that the next planning commission meeting will be July 19th, which is next week, rather than 2 weeks like we typically do, so just 1 week. And the last item is adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Without objection, I move to adjourn.
I would second that.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. We shall now vote. Motion passes. The meeting is adjourned.